Is it crooked? No, it's straight. Is it crooked? No, it's kind of straight, isn't it? It's straight enough. Okay. Sometimes I can't tell. I have it balanced, because see, the plug, the outlet to the charging port is on the bottom of the phone. So when I prop it up and I want to keep it charged if I'm doing a lot, the plug is actually, the charging cord is actually up under the phone, so it's like holding it up a little bit. So it's kind of tricky. So we are still answering questions in the group. Okay, Lenny says, forgiving yourself for staying. Okay, yeah. Oh my God, okay. Because people will always tell you, and I can't stand this shit, and especially all these woke people that think they're some kind of like Buddhist monk. They tell you that you have to forgive that person because, and to me that's just a holdover from religion. That's just more monotheistic stuff. Oh, you gotta forgive the other person, you gotta forgive the other person, you gotta forgive them. And that goes right along with you're worthless anyway, you're going to hell, but you're made in God's image, but you're still going to hell if you fuck up. And I don't think that's right. I think that's abusive. But anyway, so for somebody to try to have you convinced that you need to forgive the other person, another person, no one wants to talk about forgiving yourself for staying, for being there that long, for letting it drag out that long. But that's starting to change. Like, people are really starting to talk about forgiving themselves for not knowing any better. And that's exactly what it is. You don't have to feel bad about, and you don't have to feel bad about saying that to yourself. You don't have to feel bad about it. Like, people choose to feel guilty about something or be ashamed or whatever about doing something. You don't have to feel that way. If you do something and you screw up and you think back on it years later and you're like, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have fucking done that. You're torturing yourself for no reason. You've learned your lesson. Obviously, you know better now, or else you wouldn't be feeling bad about it to start with. So you know better now. From now on, it's not going to happen again. You're in the now. You're in the now. We're not at that time where you were in that moment in the past where that shit was going on. But as long as you keep having trouble forgiving yourself for being in that situation, your nervous system probably is going to assume that you're still in that situation because the anguish is still coming up for you. Because you're still thinking about it. You're like, man, But so you're hanging on to the feeling instead of just saying, no, you know what? It's okay. I messed up because I just didn't know. It's the same reason you're in school as a child and you have a hard time in class and then you take the test and you fail the test. You just didn't know. And you fucking failed the test. So what? You still got out. You know what I mean? Like, so being hard on yourself is not the answer. That's not going to get you anywhere. You can't grow. Just like I said in the last video when I was talking about trusting people. And I said, the masculine way that we have been taught to do things, and there's not, this isn't to say that this mindset won't help us sometimes, because it does. But when you're talking about your life as a whole and what you want from it and how you want to live and who you want to be and things like that, you have to leave room for creativity and openness and exploration, and all things are possible in order to learn. You can't learn when there's rules and regs for everything, and there's barriers, and there's punishment, and there's hierarchy, and there's everything else that is part of the masculine. That system only works for a few things, but for most shit, you're gonna have to be open, and you have to be open to yourself just as much as you have to be open to everybody else. Some of this new age shit will have you thinking that you've got to really abandon yourself and just, forgive. Forgiveness comes naturally on its own. You can't make yourself forgive somebody. You cannot do it. I've had people and especially boyfriends who really thought they were enlightened, far more enlightened than me, were really insisting that I forgive them for shit. And and I don't know why they even bothered, because even when I was mad at them, they still got between my legs. So I don't know what the point is of convincing me to forgive them. But another story for another time, another rant for another day. But worrying yourself about why you screwed up or why you did something wrong. All you need to do is change the story that you tell yourself. That's all you needed. Well, I say that's all you need. There's other things, but I mean, your first step is to change the story you tell yourself. If you've been telling yourself, damn, I just can't believe blah blah blah, and that's like I say with one of my doozies that I was dating, that really did some damage. I tried to break up with him several times, and he talked me out of it. And what I want to tell you is that my old story that I used to tell myself was that he wouldn't let me break up with him, and that I left myself powerless every time I told that, oh yeah, well, he wouldn't let me break up with him. Well, yeah, that was it. He was really fighting it every time, but that's not all of it. Like, I took ownership of that eventually, and I said, you know what, I can't tell myself that story anymore, and I can't tell other people that story anymore, because that's not serving me anymore. It's not helping me. What's the new story? I let it slide because I didn't know any better, and because I was used to bullshit ass behavior, and I just let it slide. Because I just didn't know any better. I was used to the bullshit, and I was accustomed to that. And I grew up thinking that men were supposed to be allowed to do whatever they wanted, and that did nothing but destroy me, or so it felt. And I let shit slide that I shouldn't have. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm past that now. It's over with. And there's no reason to hate myself for letting something continue, when I just was operating on, what I knew. I was working from my best level at that time, just like everyone else on the planet. We're operating from our best level. That's why you can't waste your energy being mad at somebody when they do something dumb, or you meet somebody or somebody in public, or there's a stranger who is pissed off about their life or whatever, and they just like bark at you, they just take it out on you. You don't have to be angry at that person, because that person is doing their best. They're doing their best, no matter what that is. And it might not be the same as your best. It might not be. But, you just have to accept it. And you have to accept it, because you're that merciful for other people. So why not be that merciful toward yourself? See, we're taught, women especially are taught, that if we put everybody before us and treat everybody good, that maybe one day somebody will hopefully be in the mood to help us and take care of us. And, fingers crossed. And that's, number one, no way to live, but also it's very damaging, because you're abandoning yourself. And that's what we're taught, because that is helpful and convenient. And we're done being convenient, I think. Yeah, I think we are. So, I know, men hate me. They fucking hate me so much. I don't care. So, it's time to start putting yourself first, and putting your own emotional health first, and saying, you know what? I just didn't know any better. It's done. And people like to use this analogy or whatever, and I think it's good. Babies who are learning how to walk don't tear themselves apart every time they fuck it up and can't take a step. They just keep trying until eventually they get to a level where they're doing it. And they do each level as it comes. But they don't look back at times when they couldn't walk and be like, yeah, what the fuck was wrong with me? They don't say that. There's no reason to say that. Because they know at that time, like, they didn't know any better but what they were doing. It's like, or even when they're doing tummy time, they're pissed off about tummy time. You know how angry they get. But they have to do it. But when they're past it, they don't look back and be like, yeah, what the fuck was wrong with me? I hated tummy time. They're just like, oh, well, it's just, that's where I was. That's the level I was on at that time. done, oh, sorted, it's over with. And that's it. So you can go your whole life thinking like a baby in that regard. And tell yourself, you know what? I just was working with what I knew. And you look back at yourself and you look at how you were operating, and you look at what you were telling yourself was reality at that time, and what were you telling yourself was possible for you at that time. Like when I look back at shit, like jobs I had so many bullshit dead end jobs that like were and and I hated it. But I limited myself by telling myself, you know what, these are my options. I guess I'll just do that. And that was, and the reason I was doing that and had that mentality is because growing up, I didn't get a whole lot of support with, being told that I was capable of shit, and my grandmother especially was always there to let me know that I wasn't smart enough. God damn it. Like she was on it. And I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. That was like the time I was sitting on the sofa talking to her on the phone, and I was kind of excited because like my son was a baby, and I was like, I gotta fucking do something with my fucking life. And I was looking at this website of this community college down the road, and I said, well, I was thinking about getting a grant and going to school to be a nurse. And she said, you can't do that. That's too hard. You need to do something easier. Well, goddamn. Like, and the wave of rage that went through me, because I was like 27 or something at the time, and I was tired of hearing it. And the wave that went through me of utter rage and despair at hearing her once again whack-a-mole me with you can't. I wanted, there was a part of me that wanted to just start screaming at her. Just start screaming. But I thought, nah, there's another way. And I handed Mom the phone and I said, I'm going to blow something up or set a building on fire or something. I need you to take this phone out of my hands. And I went to the bathroom and I think I cried 2 tears. Count them, 2. And then I went back to the living room and sat back on the sofa and watched TV. And I never went to nursing school. Never went. Because I thought I couldn't. And because I was so used to that programming, I let it slide. I fucking let it slide because I was so used to that. That's it. I listened to her say, oh, you can't. I had listened to that for 3 decades. It was all I knew. And that was why I went after bullshit-ass jobs. Because I didn't think I could fucking swing it anywhere else. That's why all my jobs were bullshitty and paid minimum wage and were, just shit that I was never going to want to do and shit like that. It's just like, that's why. I was used to thinking a certain way. I look back on it and I'm like, you know what? Because other people would say, well, you can make so much of your life. Why don't you just try to do something else? But I wasn't operating from that level at that time. I was operating from what I was used to, from what I knew to be my reality. And then finally one day I just got sick of it and started telling myself something different. But that's when I say, especially in my course, How to Stop Attracting Narcissists, there's a lot of that I put in that course you can use for other things in your life, not just them. Like you can, like when I said you have to hit rock bottom and marinate in it for as long as you need to. It's different for everybody, so I can't time it for you. But you need to marinate in feces until you get tired of it. You say, okay, I'm done with this. I gotta do something different. This is stupid. And then you say, okay, what needs to change? Let's look at my life. Let's set everything out. What the fuck needs to change? And then you start making moves and making decisions and doing things. And all of a sudden, things start getting a little bit better for you because you got tired of it. You hit rock bottom and you got tired of it, and the only way to go is up. That's it. Period. And so, you know, forgiving yourself, you just have to realize, you know, that's just where you were. It's just where you were at that time. You were on that level. And there's lots of times, you know, like I say, when you could look back on your life and be like, you know, why couldn't I do better? Why didn't I do better? Why I should have. Shit. When I had my son, it went so well. The birth and everything in the hospital went so well. I had the thing worked well. I didn't have any issues. I've never had health problems. He didn't have any health problems. In fact, I was taking vitamins. I was taking such good vitamins while I was pregnant. The first thing the doctor told me was that he had a strong heart, strong heartbeat. And he felt it when he pulled him out and like held him on one hand. The doctor was like, he's got a strong heart. And I was like, is that CoQ10? But I mean, like, so my health was so good and the birth was so good. I only pushed for 20 minutes and we were done. And that was it. It was perfect. And the doctor even said that could have been written better. It could have been scripted better. And I was like, that's right. But that being the case, hell, I should have had 10 kids. Bless my heart. If I was that good at it, I should have had more. But I didn't. It wasn't meant for that. It was only meant for me to have the one. So I just have the one. So I can't look back and be like, oh yeah, you know, I should have really, you know, taken advantage of that blessing of, you know, it going so well. But it wasn't meant. What happened for you at that time, what happened for me at that time, what happened for everybody else at that time, it was meant to be that way because they've got to face whatever lessons they have to learn when they're on that level. And then later you get to another level and you face other lessons. Or you might face the same lesson just on like just in a different way. So forgiving yourself, yeah. And you can start doing that by like doing little ass things for yourself. Just like I say in the other video where I was talking about, after I got away from the last one, and the last narcissist boyfriend I had was like he was a doozy. He was big time. And when I finally broke up with him, like it was a real breakup too. Like I actually did get away. I mean, I got him to get his stuff out of the house and everything. Like we really split. But when I did that, like I say, one of the first moves I made was to go to fucking Food Line and get some sangria. I'm gonna think of the brand in a minute. I'll think of it in a second. But it's not it's the real stuff. It's not the light colored stuff. It's not, because there's like a white wine sangria, and I saw that and I was like, this is an abomination. So my father's family came from Seville, so I'm just like, white sangria, I just can't. No, sangria means like blood. So it's supposed to be dark. But anyway, but I went to Food Line and grabbed a fucking bottle of wine, and I wasn't a drinker. That's the point that I'm trying to make. I should have said that before. I forget people don't really. I didn't start drinking until I was like 27 years old, 28. So, I never got bad about it, but I mean, like, I do it now, just not to get through life, just because I enjoy it. But I mean, like, I sip all kinds of stuff. I sip whiskeys, absinthe, the vodka. I sit there and I just drink it straight. One time my grandmother was like, and I don't know how, I guess we just didn't spend enough time together, I don't know, but one time she was like, I don't know anybody that can just drink straight vodka. And I just kind of like looked at the floor. So I was like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I could fucking knock it back. But, I mean, so I went to Food Line and got the bottle of wine and came home and I had to make you know, like, glunk, glunk, glunk. And I didn't get sick or whatever. It wasn't that. But I mean, like, I made a move to start doing what I wanted to do without him knowing about it. Because he knew my every move. You know how they just, like, get that far up your ass? and he knew my every move. And I was like, damn it, I'm going to fucking do something he doesn't fucking know about. And then I went and bought the bottle of wine. I sat there and drank and did my yoga while drinking sangria. I was that determined to, like, you know, incorporate something. Like, I was that determined to, like, just do something he didn't know about. And he never found out about it. So, that was great. And to me, at that level that I was at that time, that was empowering. That was a power move for me. That's where I was at that time. You think I regret that shit? Hell no. This is just tea. It's not anything special. But it'll probably be something special later, just not right now. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. So is it? Oh, it's 9:22. Okay. But anyway, so yeah, the self-forgiveness. Forget forgiving them. Forget it. Just don't even think about that. Your forgiveness for them, if it's even meant for you to forgive them, it will come in time. It will come in time, in good time. And you just leave that for now. And you just think about you. And you put yourself first. But that also means, putting yourself first also means looking at things that you did because you're used to your routine. And you're used to your routine of how you think and the things you tell yourself. And the things you tell yourself about yourself is the most important shit ever. Because you're listening to it. You know. And your children notice it too, so you got to be careful. Because they're going to take on a lot of that. Because they know that they come from you. You know what I mean? So, thinking about what you say to yourself and to your children especially, you got to listen to it. Because you don't want to pass on that shit. You don't want to do that. Because you know you're miserable with it. You know when you can't forgive yourself. And you don't, the last thing you want is for them to feel the same way, obviously. So, you know, just let yourself just enjoy the fact that you're not in it now. And even if you are, you can start saying, you know what, I let this get started because I was just feeling that way. I've let it come this far because I was feeling a certain way. I'm not feeling that way now. I'm starting to change. I'm starting to notice things. I'm starting to feel different. I'm starting to feel differently about the situation. I think I'm going to start making some changes. And then you just start doing things for you. And as I've said before, you can start out little, like do little shit for yourself. Do little things you like to do. You know, reclaim all those little parts, all those little interests, all those little things, all those little quirks about yourself. Reclaim all that shit. That's you. Reclaim it in a new way. You know, go back to an old hobby you had or something like that. Or whatever. Or start a new one, whichever. You know, but forgiving yourself has a lot to do with being kind to yourself and understanding that you were just doing your best at that time with what you had. Just like the narcissist was. Just like anybody is. They're just doing their best. I try to remember that when, you know, people like act up or they get angry or whatever. Especially when people get angry at you and they're already pissed off about their lives. So when you do something, they pick on it and they start getting angry at you when they're not mad about you. They're mad about how they live and they're just projecting their shit. And you have to remember things like that, the higher minded stuff. Okay, you're not really mad at me because this has nothing to do with me because you don't know who I am. You're upset about the way you live and you don't know how to fix it. So you're going to be pissed off at me because it makes you feel good. You know, and just shit like that. They're working from their best. So all this, you know, all of the compassion and the sympathy you have for everybody else, you got to turn around and put it on you because you can't create the life you want if you're just like at everybody else's feet. So, yeah, forgiving yourself. That's huge. I could talk all day about that because that's such a big topic, honestly. Because it's just such a big topic. But I'm going to leave it at that for now. I hope that answered some questions for you and gave you some good ideas. And hopefully my story is my stories are inspiring or at least entertaining, if nothing else. But yeah, forgive yourself. Because you were just working with what you knew at that time. Just like the baby. Well, I couldn't walk at that time because I fucking didn't know how. And, you know what I mean? And just leave it at that. Just keep it simple. Just leave it at that. And then later when you're ready to like explore yourself in that way and ask yourself more questions about like why you did it, why you let this happen, why you thought that was normal, why you thought it was okay. And the more you explore yourself and the more you understand yourself, the more you'll be able to really forgive yourself, because you'll be like, oh, okay, it's because of this. So that's fine. You know, and just make your peace with it. Plain and simple. Just be real plain and simple about it and just make your peace with it. And keep it easy for yourself like that. Just look at it, you know, from like a third person point of view if you want to, and just take all the emotion out. It's tricky to do that because you get so wrapped up in your own shit. But if you can look at it like a third person point of view and just take the emotion out, or look at it like somebody who doesn't know you, who would look at the situation and what would they say? You can do that. It's, a lot of people do that exercise too, you know, just to like help you kind of see it for what it is, you know. So you can try that as well. But anyway, so thanks for tuning in, and I hope that was helpful. We're gonna be moving on to the next few questions in here. We're getting there, making some progress. And that's it. Yeah, that's it for forgiving yourself. So thanks for listening, and hope that brought you some clarity. And thanks for sticking with me.